Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to your first time here. I'm May, and it's going to be my March wrap up. And I already have read one book for the month. If you don't know this, I like to try to start off the month with a very easy, short read, just so that I can feel accomplished. I'm kicking the month off right on the very first day. So I read Bin for Baylor, which is a holiday horror novella that has a lot of sex in it, and it's about St. Patrick's Day. So it was perfectly timed. I mean, I know it's early, like I know there's actually 16 days until St. Patrick's Day, but like I said, I wanted something short. It's only 136 pages, so I read it very quickly, and I'm actually going to be giving this a 5-star. And in some of my previous videos, I was like, I don't like giving short books a 5-star because I'm like of giving it a 5-star compared to books that I've given 5 stars that are like 600 pages doesn't feel in the same scale. So I feel weird giving a novella a 5-star, but in this case, I have to. It was so good. It was literally so good. Like, so I've read the Halloween one. I've read the romance one. I've read the Valentine's Day one. This one is so good. This is following, I'll try to explain as much as I can. This is following someone whose family has always run an antique store in Ireland, and her grandparents are murdered in the store because they're being robbed, and she has been given custody property over the antique store. So she moves back to Ireland to take care of the antique store. What she doesn't know is that her grandparents and all of her ancestors have been actually holding a Irish god slash monster slash giant hostage in the store. The store only exists because of this giant whose power they are siphoning. And he gets freed, and he's like, I want my revenge. I must kill her. He goes to kill her just to realize it's actually his mate, so he can't kill her. So instead of killing her, he boinks her. And you know what I mean by boinks. And he boinks her quite a bit. I loved it. I loved it. I am dirty, depraved, and probably need therapy, but I loved it. I love redheads. I'm dating a redhead. I love them. They're hot. They're perfect for me. And my redhead is not an 8-foot giant. Actually, the giant can get bigger than that. 8 feet is just like its base form of like the smallest that it can get. So unfortunately, my boyfriend isn't 8 feet, but you know, redheads still do it for me. This is actually quite the different taste than I had last St. Patrick's Day. Last St. Patrick's Day, I read another romance book that was about St. Patrick's Day, but it was a lot more wholesome. This was just dark, depraved, and slutty. I can't even go into the details. I can't even go in. I would get in so much trouble even trying to explain. But I like the chemistry between the two of them. I like that there's a history beside it all. Like, you get to learn about what her ancestors did, what the giant was trying to do. You get to learn about like the other world that he's living in. I feel like there's so many historical parts of it that I was not expecting in a 136-page book. So this really ticked it off for me because I love redheads, I love history, I love smut, and I love St. Patrick's Day. Even though I'm not Irish, I just think it's a fun little holiday, and you know, yippee. Well prepared for the holiday now. So I'll be giving it 5 stars. This is my first book of the month, and I will be reading hopefully 11 more, which brings me to my next point. I've already fucked up. So I did a TBR, like I always do, and I put a book on the TBR that's not even out. That's not even coming out until December. So I had a book on my TBR called A Flame of Sacrifice, or fucking something. Born a Flame and Sacrifice. It was supposed to come out in September of last year. I had it on my spreadsheet tracker. I noted that it got pushed to December of last year, and I hadn't checked since because I had seen nothing else about it on Instagram. Like, I didn't see the author posting that they were delaying it. So I assumed, I was like, this book is out. I just haven't had the chance to read it. I go to find it, can't find it on Libby, can't find it on Hoopla, can't find it on any of the sites that I use, can't find it at the store. I was like, did this book just not come out? And I go to Instagram. I don't see a post saying that it's been delayed. I Google it. On Google, it says the date was December. I'm going through comments on Instagram, and on a random Instagram post, someone was like, hey, did this book just get pushed? And they were like, yeah, sorry, it's coming out in December 2026 now. Sorry, it's been taken off of websites. Okay, why wasn't there any kind of a formal posting? That's wild to me. Like, it's not upgraded on Storygraph. It's not upgraded on Goodreads, to my knowledge. When I literally Googled it in several places, it was like, oh yeah, this book's already out. So I was so confused. Why was it that I had to go to a random post on a random comment? I almost said condom. That's a whole different thing. Why? Random comment just so that it had been pushed until December of 2026. So I'm taking it off of my March TBR, adding it back to my new releases tab to hopefully get read this year. And in its place, I'm going to read the last book in a series that I was already going to be reading this month. I was going to be reading, what's it called? It's like Oaths of Legacy. That's the book, but what's the series called? It will come to me 1 second. The Bloodright trilogy. I was already going to be reading the second one, which is called Oaths of Legacy. And then I was going to read the third one some other time. I've decided, since I have to remove that one, to just go ahead and read the third one. That way I'm finishing a series off still. So that's my plan of adjustment. I can't believe this. I think when an author, like, I know I can't demand this of them because they're their own people and they don't have to listen to me. But like in my perfect realm, when an author has to push a book, I think there should be some kind of formal posting. Like, even if you can't say why or you can't give a new date, I think they should say, hey, just a heads up, I have to push this book out. New date, TBD. New whatever, TBD. Wait for more information, please and thank you. So that readers can know and they don't have to go on a goose hunt to find your books, because, like, as a reader, I want to support you. I want to know when your next books are coming out so that I can go get them and read them and support you. And when you don't update us about the books, you're essentially not allowing me to support you in the way that you need to be supported. You're making it difficult for me to support you when you don't keep us up to date. And instead of doing that, you're just, like, not putting a book out like you're supposed to. Like, they're, like, you know what I mean? Like, even when you go on their website, it's just off of their website completely. Like, it's not even listed as a TBD. It's, like, gone. It's like, I was, like, wondering if the book got canceled. I was like, is this book even being published anymore? So, I love this author, Scarlett St. Clair. I will forgive you, but I'm just saying, I've seen this happen a lot. Like, there was another author that I read, Maeve Black, who did the same thing. They finally just spoke up, I feel like damn near after almost a year of silence. And I know there might be some, like, logistic sides about it, some legal side of it, but I really feel like even if it was just a, hey, book pushed, that would do so much for the book community. I don't hate them. I'm not mad at them. I'm just a little irritated that I had to go on a little treasure hunt for such basic information. That's all. But yes, this is my first read of the month. I'm already starting the month off great with a 5-star, and I will check in. If you don't know how this works, I record myself after I finish each book, and then after I read all the books on my TBR, I do a summary of all my ratings and stuff, and then I pick out my favorite book of the month. So you'll be seeing that at the end of the video. So I will be back as soon as I finish the next one. Hi. So it is March 21st, and I had something happen that I wasn't aware of until just a few minutes ago. All of the clips, except for one that I had filmed in March, are gone somehow. I typically put them in a folder and then back it up on my Google account, but I've been in such a rush this month that I didn't. And only one, the first clip that I have, was the only one backed up. The other ones were just, like, in my files, just normally, and they're gone. Not in my recycling bin. No idea where they went. No idea how to find them. And instead of wasting time that I don't really have to find them, I guess I'm just gonna film them in one really, really long update. So obviously in my first clip, I introduced you to my channel, told you what this video is going to be about. I think I talked about Ben for Baylor. I have since then read 7 books. So this clip is going to be me going through all the 7 books that you already heard about, but you didn't hear about because the videos are gone. And then hopefully whatever books I have left of the month, maybe we'll get to actually see clips for each of those. I will say, I only have 10 books on my TBR, so, like, you might only see, like, 3 clips after this one. But yeah, let's just get into it, because I have a lot to talk about in this one clip. The first book that I read after Ben for Baylor was Broken Bonds by Jay Bree. This was a book that I had put off reading for years. Like, literally 4.5 years, because I'd heard that it was smutty, I heard that it was dark, and I just didn't really know if it was gonna live up to the hype. And I will say the first one only has one smut scene in it, which kind of disappointed me because one of the things I'd always heard about it was how dirty and filthy and dark it is. And I feel like the first one is really like a tease to the rest of the series. So I didn't give it a 5 stars. I guess spoiler alert, I didn't give it 5 stars because of that. But I'm hoping that as I continue reading the series, I'll give one of them a 5 stars because of the fact that like they're gonna be much longer. This first one is only 289 pages. The rest of them are damn near 600 pages. So like literally double the length of the first one. So surely those have more smut in them, and surely one of those will most likely get a 5 star. Because I actually really love this one. I was disappointed because it didn't live up to the hype that I thought it was gonna have. Because I was like, oh, dark and smutty, and it is dark, but not really smutty. So let me just tell you what this is about. In this world this place takes place in, you get bonded. And bonded is like essentially like a mate, but with a different title, and you actually can share power, take their power. That's not really been explored too much. This book really was establishing the main characters, her bonds, and like what's been going on. And I feel like we'll learn more about like what actually happens with the bonds in the following books. But essentially, when you get a bond, typically it's one, typically it's two. She actually has four of them, and they're all super powerful. They all have like super, like, their powers are so strong they're not actually allowed to be talked about. It's like a secret because like, and I don't really know what the hell's happening with that, like why they can't be talked about. It's just mentioned a couple times that like no one knows what their powers are because they're not allowed to know what their powers are. And I'm like, okay, so like maybe like a secret society thing, in a way. But we open the book up with her mom and her dad's and everyone that she knows dying in a car accident. And she is the only survivor of this car accident. And it is the one time that she uses her powers, and she becomes terrified to ever use her powers ever again following this car accident. And she actually goes on the run following this car accident. And the entire book is learning why she went on the run. And essentially, I don't give spoilers, essentially, the power that she has is like so powerful and dark that she feels guilty using it, and she's afraid to be locked up if she ever gets caught using it. Or like she's afraid that like the power, like if she goes to her bonds will take the power from her to have that power from her as well. So she's been on the run from her bonds, and these bonds are supposed to be like people that you love with your whole being, and she's literally ignoring her bond to be on the run. And she gets caught, which isn't really a spoiler, you find out in like chapter 2. She gets caught and she's forced to go to this university with other people with powers and other people with bonds. And it is like a very rich people's university. So she doesn't really fit in any kind of way, and people like hate her because they're like, how dare you run away from your bonds? Like, don't you know how special it is to have a bond, especially more than one bond? And yeah, so we get to meet her bonds. One of them lives in a different country, so he's not actually there, but the other three do live on the premise, and we get to see her interact with them. They're all very different. Two of them are brothers. The other ones don't actually know each other. Like they know each other, but they're not related to each other is what I mean. So it's just like, this first book is literally just character building, in my opinion. You don't really get a whole lot of plot. You really don't get a whole lot of smut. It's really just you learning about the characters. So I'm giving it a 4.5 because I'm intrigued. Like, I enjoyed it way more than I thought. It was so good. Very intrigued to know what happens. Very intrigued to know what happens in the other books because it does end on a cliffhanger. And I did put the second book on my April TBR. Wasn't planning on reading it this soon, but I was like, oh, I need to know what's happening. So I put it on next month TBR to get to it. And I don't know how often I'll be reading these because, like I said, very long books. If I tried to read all of them in 1 month, they would be my entire month of reading because there's like 6 of them in total, 7 of them in total. But I did put this off for so long, and I do regret it because it was actually so good. But hopefully it won't take me 4 years to read the other ones. Following Broken Bonds, I read If Not For My Baby, which is Kate Golden's debut romance. The only other series they have written is the Dawn of Onyx series that I talked about last year a lot. It was the fantasy series that I really loved. And this was their romance debut. And it is like I thought it was going to be a southern country singer. Like, yeehaw. It's actually an Irish country singer, which really took me by surprise. And it actually made him more attractive because he's like not even from America. He is from Ireland, and he's just like really loves country music. Which I thought that when Irish people played country music, it was folk. Like I thought they had their own genre of music that was kind of like country. So when he was like an actual identified as country music, I was really confused by that. I need to look into this. Maybe. Because the only other Irish person that I know of off the top of my head, not like the only person, God, there's more than this. I know more than one Irish person, I swear. What I meant is the only other person that I know that is like a real life Irish person who like plays this kind of music identifies as folk, and it's Hozier. So I thought that like anytime there was like that kind of music, it would be filed under folk, but like maybe I don't know the music genres enough. Because like I know like Taylor Swift, her beginning was considered country, and now her newer stuff isn't considered country. So like I think I need to look into music genres and what makes someone slip into a different genre doing something or another. Anyways, I'm getting caught up into the things that don't actually matter. This is following someone whose mom is very sick. I believe they have cystic fibrosis, I believe. Yeah, I think it's just, it's like that. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Cystic fibrosis. It's like the lung thing where you have to get like the lung treatment to like shake up the things in your lung, because if not, it'll, you know, like that 5 Feet Apart movie. I don't know why I'm having a hard time speaking today. But her mom has it, and she's very sick. And Clementine, which is the main character, she pays for her mom's treatment, and her mom is wanting to go into like a study for a new medicine, but it's a very expensive study. So Clementine is trying to work as much as she can, but her true goal is to be on Broadway, like because she sings, she dances, she loves anything to do with music and acting, anything like that. So she gets hired for a gig being a background singer for this Irish megastar, which is so hilarious because his name is Halloran. That's how I've been pronouncing it. I don't actually know if that's his right name or how that's even how you fucking say it, but that's what I said it the entire time was Halloran. Halloran. Don't know if that's actually how you say it, but that's my funny way of saying it. But he is, like I said, he's the Irish country singer. And she's gonna be a background singer for him. And they go on a 6-week long tour where she'll actually be staying with him, and it will be enough money to pay for her mom's treatment. But of course, it is a romance. So when they're on this tour, she starts getting feelings for him. And it's really fun. I actually really liked it. I gave it 5 stars. It's very emotional. It's not even 6 weeks. It was 8 weeks. It was 8 weeks. I can remember. I can remember myself. Um, yeah, I don't know if I liked it more than the fantasy though, because the fantasy was just so good. But it was still really good. Like it kind of surprised me because typically when I see a fantasy, if when I see a author who is known in a specific genre, when they branch out of that genre to write something that's not in that genre, I get very nervous. I'm like, is this gonna be any good? But I will say this one was very good. And I don't think it's gonna be a sequel. I think it's just like a standalone, which I'm fine with because, you know, I don't really see the need for any other books to come out of this. But 5 star, I think that is a great pick for romance, country, Irish singer, if you ever want one. And then the next 2 books I read were finishing off the Blood Right trilogy. I read Oaths of Legacy, which I gave a 4.5, and then Vows of Empire, which I'm giving a 5. I don't really want to go into each book because spoilers, and I would be very confused trying to discuss this with you, and you would be confused trying to listen to me discuss it. This is a sci-fi series with a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving characters, a lot of characters just in general. And it essentially would be like trying to describe Dungeon Crawler like book 7 to someone who's never even read book 1. That's the vibe that it would be giving because like they're just so dense and so like lore heavy that like it's very hard to say anything about them. I've talked about it in other videos, but like the gist of the series is that there are 2 empires at war with each other. It's giving Star Wars in a way, and it is a political fantasy, and it's gay. and they each have an heir. One of the heirs has been missing for a really long time, and the other one is currently at a university getting trained. But at that university, there is a big, great escape that he has to go do to get back to his home planet. And he is led by a pilot who is his best friend, who he's secretly in love with. And there is a lot of truths that get revealed about the two of them in the first book. And then the second and third book reveals their own truths in a way. And there's a lot of portrayal. There's a lot of betrayal and political schemes in ways that you can't really pick apart or like even imagine. I will say the ending of the third book is the most creative ending of a sci-fi book that I think I've ever read. That took political scheme to the max. And when I was reading, I was so confused. I was like, what the hell is going? But then once the pieces clicked, the pieces clicked. The puzzle was there. And I was like, oh my God, I'm loving this. This is so, so good. So I just, like, the other ones weren't 5 stars for me because there was something missing about them. But the last book has dual point of views, but it also has not just the main characters, but then it has a couple chapters from other characters as well, multiple POVs, but I will say it's typically just the dual POVs of both, male characters. I don't think I'll ever read anything by this author again because, like I said, it was very dense. It was a lot of head work, a lot of brain work for me, and I don't know if I can do any more of that this year at least. So yes. And then then I read Migrations, which is a book that someone I know named T really loves, and a lot of my friends have been reading this book. It's like a dystopian literary fiction book, and I did not give it 5 stars. I gave it a 4.5, very, very close to 5. There was something about this book that was not vibing with me, but overall, very, very, very good of a book. I think it's like, if I think about it, like if I reflect on what it was that I didn't vibe with, I think it was the main character. I think the main character kind of pissed me off at times. Also, the structure of this book is very, very interesting. We're essentially going through the main character's story, but like in 2 different time frames, and it jumps back and forth. So it'll be like 5 years before, 4 years before, and then it'll jump back to the present, and then it'll go back in time. And it's like a weird way of doing flashbacks, in my opinion, because it was like you essentially were living through 2 different time frames with the main character, and then it like obviously it comes together when you get the full story, and then that's when the book progresses in just the current time frame. But this is about a scientist who is following, I say a scientist because I never went to college for it, but still a scientist, who is following the last living flock of birds, like the last species of birds, because of climate change has absolutely wrecked the Earth, and these birds are the only ones left alive because they have a very, very long migration period and very long migration path. And there is something special about these birds, and the main character wants to study them. And she does not have a boat, and obviously migrating, they fly over the water and stuff, and she decides that the best way to track these birds is to have a boat. So she enlists the help of a fishing crew to take her to where these birds are going to be, and they have one heck of a trip. I don't want to call it an adventure because adventure makes it seem like it's fun. It was not fun. They, just like the living in the climate change era is already tough enough, but then like everything else the author goes through, all that other stuff that you learn about the author, and she definitely has some mental problems. I'm not quite sure what they have, but like paranoia, delusions, like the unwilling ability to like accept the truth of that it is. Like they actually like almost like alter their reality so they don't have to accept something that's true. I don't know if that would classify under, but you have to read a lot of that, and that, I think that's what kind of like, I don't want to say pisses me off, but I think that's where I kind of lost with the main character, because it made her like an unreliable narrative, and when I'm reading an unreliable narrative, I kind of just get angry that it's not reliable, because I'm like, what's actually happening? Like, what's the truth here? But you do figure it out by the end, and I think it was a very fascinating book, and I would recommend, I would just recommend that it's also sad. It's very sad, so, I recommend it as a sad book if you're ever looking for one. I read Wizard of Most Wicked Ways, which is wrapping up the Wimble House series for me. I didn't really love this one. I actually don't think it even needed to be written. I feel like I was pretty happy with how the third book ended. So I'm actually giving this a 3-star. I don't think there was even really a purpose for this one because like it almost backtracks what was in the previous books because like a character that died in the third book comes back in this one like 5 years later and he's like, surprise, I'm not actually dead. And so then this book is about them going and fighting the guy again. And I'm like, I don't think I really needed him to come back. Like it could have just stayed as a trilogy. Like it just takes away the work of all the other books. And we didn't even really get a true ending with the main character of this book. And I don't think I needed to read it. I think that's why I took so long to read it because this came out a while ago. Like I think sometime mid last year maybe. And I just like never got pulled to read it. And maybe I should have followed that because I honestly think it was a waste of my fucking time. This is a gist. There is a house with magic powers, essentially. And there are users with magic power, but they can't like their magic power has consequences to it. So like when they perform a magic thing, they have like a consequence. So like I think one of them is like if your power is with the mind, you get a headache after using it, or like confusion. There's like terms for this, but I don't fucking care enough to tell you all the terms. Essentially, it's like Harry Potter but with a magic house and then like consequences for using their magic. Like even if they're using their magic for good, it doesn't matter. There's like a balance too. Like if you use the spell, there's something that comes out of it, like a cause and effect. Really like the first parts of the series. I just think maybe if you're gonna read it, maybe just stop at book 3. Save yourself some time. I mean, it wasn't a super long book. I just don't think it was needed. And then the very last book that I read is one of the most interesting books I've read, and I haven't even decided how I'm going to rate it. I read A Rip Through Time by Kelly Armstrong. This is I thought it was a sci-fi. It's not a sci-fi. I thought it was a thriller, not a thriller. It is actually a historical fantasy mystery book where the main character is a detective, and in her current time, she goes to visit her nan at the hospital. And while she is out, after she visits her nan, she's out and, walking through the streets, and she starts hearing someone crying out. And she's a detective, so she's like, I gotta go detect that. So she goes, and when she gets there, there's no one actually there. It's like, she thinks it's like a projection screen showing someone getting strangled, and she's like, well, that's weird. And then she goes to leave, and then someone jumps out and actually strangles her to what we assume is her death. But then if that was the case, the book would have ended 20 pages in. So she wakes up from being strangled, and she's actually 150 years in the past. And then she is actually in the body of the person who was being strangled in the projection. And it wasn't actually a projection, it was her seeing into the past. So she's living in the body of the person who got strangled 150 years earlier, and she has to figure out what the hell's happening, why she's here, how does she get home, who killed her, who killed this person, and she is, serving as a housemaid essentially. So she has to like earn the trust of her employers to let them help with the cases, and I thought it was really interesting. But I won't lie, I thought this was a standalone or like a very short series. This has 6 books. This reminds me very much of the Truly Devious series, where it takes a very, very long time to learn the ending. And if you have been around long enough, you would know that I was very disappointed by the ending of Truly Devious. Like, I thought it was going to have a good ending, thought it was going to be okay. And then I got to the ending of it, and I thought to myself, this was a fucking waste of time. And I refuse to make that same mistake again. So I actually am not going to read the rest of the books. Do I have the answers? Not really, but I'm just going to Google them because there's 6 other books. One of them's not even out yet. They don't come out until I think a couple months from now. So there could be even more. It could be literally not even finished yet. Because the book ends with her not even making it home yet. Like, she doesn't leave at the end of the book, like to go back to her current time. You do like learn the mystery, but then I think that every book after this is her doing more mysteries while still in that past time frame. And all I wanted to know was, how does she get home? And I Googled it, and there's not currently an answer because the book's not out yet. So I think if I can remember to, I think in a couple months I might just Google again, does she ever make it home? And then I'll read how she makes it home. Because I'm not actually interested in seeing her solve more cases. Because we got the solving of this case. We just don't get to see her make it home, and I don't think I care about anything else. So I don't know what to rate this because I enjoyed it up until I realized I was gonna have to read 6 more books, and then I got pissed off. So maybe I'll do a 3. Like maybe I'll do a 3 because it was like fun, but like now I have a lot of negative feelings towards it. So like let's just do a 3. Middle of the ground, middle of the road. I mean, middle of the road rating. And yeah, it's been an interesting month. I think I only have 4 books left to read. I have 2 physical books and then 2 ebooks. I have 2 ebooks, so there'll be 4 clips, hopefully, in this video. Sorry again that I can't know why I'm saying sorry. It's not my fault. The clips are gone. They disappeared. They were out there doing their own mystery, I guess, but I'm sorry that you had to have one continuously long clip. But you know what? I'm wearing a Winnie the Pooh short. So you guys will see me look cute in my Winnie the Pooh short. So I will be back when I finish the next book. I'm currently reading God of the Woods. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to read because it took me like 4 days to read. I ripped through time because I've been reading very slowly. But 7 books in 21 days. No, I guess it's 8 books because it's been for Baylor. So 8 books in 21 days and only 4 to go. So we're doing good. I think we'll still get to do all the other ones, but this is a check-in for now. Hi, it has been a couple of days. I have finished God of the Woods and I'm here to talk about it. And this is a very interesting read for me. It is a little bit dark because I'm too lazy to turn on my lights because it's like 9 p.m. at night and I'm just now finishing the book to talk about it. So excuse the poor lighting. I'll be honest, this wasn't originally a 5-star for me because I was kind of like, what the fuck's going on? What's happening? How is this all going to connect? And then I got to the ending of the book and I was like, this is a 5-star. This is a 5-star now. Not typically does it take an entire book for me to give it 5 stars. Typically, I can find out very early on or like by midway point if it's feeling like a 5-star. For this to take almost to the damn near end of the book has not happened in quite some time. And it was a journey. I overall really loved it. I think there was some pacing issues here and there. And I think like maybe the timeline gets a little confusing with the jumping back and forth. But like overall with how awesome, I say awesome like it's not, a mystery book and there's probably bad things happening. Let's say I think the structure of the ending is awesome. I loved it. This is following the story of a camp that is tied with a family, and this family experiences 2 disappearances within a decade, and they're trying to figure out if the disappearances are connected, and they're trying to figure out what happened to the previous one because there's never really any answers. They're trying to figure out what's happening to the current one. And we get a lot of different point of views from a lot of different people. Like, people you wouldn't even think you would care about the point of view, they're also in it. And you're like, well, why should I care? And you don't know why you should care until the very end of the book. And then when the picture comes together, you're like, oh, this is why I should care. This is like a mystery that takes place at a survival camp. And I'll be honest, the God of the Woods, you don't really understand the title until the end either. Essentially, you understand very little about this book until the end. Because I was like, the title doesn't make sense. Like, what's happening here? Like, originally I was going to give it like a 3.75 because I was like, I'm disappointed. Like, this book gets raved on and I'm just not feeling it. But then I pushed through it because I didn't have very much left. And then I ended up loving it. So this is like a mystery that's taking place at a survivor camp. Going back to that point. And you get like the point of view of the different generations of people who are alive, and then you get like some workers' point of view, and then you're getting some camp counselors' point of view, and then you're getting some campers' point of view, then you're getting like a detective's point of view. Like, you're like almost like mind boggled. Like, I almost wish that I would take notes of like who was who and who was doing what with who, and it's like not easy to guess in my opinion what the ending is. I personally didn't guess at all either mystery because there's technically 2 mysteries. I didn't guess either of them. I guessed maybe a little bit of one, but like not really, because like I can't say too much obviously because I'll give things away and I don't want to. I want people to actually go read this on their own. I will say you start to get very suspicious of people, and then you realize that that's probably too easy of a move, so you kind of realize that it's not who you're thinking it is because it's too obvious. And I think that's like the only thing that I really caught on. I was like, oh, it can't be this person. It's too obvious of an answer. But yeah, overall, great read. I've never read this author before. I know some of my friends have read this book and really liked it, and I'm giving it 5 stars. That is my little short, sweet review of God of the Woods. It's March 28th, and I just finished Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I'm gonna be giving this a 4 star. This is the same author of Ace of Spades, Aces of Spades, I can't remember what it's called. And I will say they feel very similar to each other. Like a different plot overall, but still a very similar vibe. They are both taking place at schools, and at the schools, there's like a big dark secret of people doing bad things to other people. And yeah, like the people are different and the reasons are different, but still very much the same concept of like bad things happening at schools. And I'm like kind of a little bored with that after, because I read the Ace of Spades, I can't remember what it's called, and I gave it 5 stars and I loved it. It's actually one of the books that I recommend people all the time. And maybe if I wouldn't have read that first, maybe I could have enjoyed this more, but since I had already read that one, this one kind of was not as good to me. Also, it kind of reminds me of Truly Devious, which is another book by a different author of bad things happening at a school. And maybe I'm just tired of the bad things happening at a school, at a boarding rich school. Maybe that trope is just overdone for me. But I will say it was very fascinating and interesting to read. And I think the way that it like broke chapters up by anagrams, and when you learn who was actually writing the anagrams, I think that's really fascinating. Um, but this is following the main character who has a lot of death in their lives, and it kind of follows them, and they end up going to this rich people boarding school. And on the very first day of them being there, their roommate disappears. It is missing, and something has happened to them. And they take it upon themselves to learn the mystery of what happened to their roommate. While uncovering what's happening to their roommate, they uncover a much bigger mystery that they have to like rope other people into to expose. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad book, but I don't think I would read another book by this author because it seems like they've kind of like typecasted themselves where they're gonna write the same kind of book but like a little altered, and I personally don't like that because then I don't feel something attached to it. Like I don't feel like the originality of it, like, and I don't get hooked in when it's the same plot like that over and over again. Me personally, it doesn't hit the same. When I read their first book, it gave me a 5 stars because like, oh my god, this is so amazing. And it was the first of those books that I had read. But now that I've read that book and then I've read Truly Devious, I feel like maybe this specific kind of plot just isn't doing it for me. So a 4 star isn't bad. I think there is a 1.5 in the series where it's like a novella around the two main characters getting together. I won't read it. I don't think I'll be picking anything else out by this author, which is disappointing, but I think that since it was a Bam Bargain book, me giving it 4 stars is actually a good thing because I have been unhauling a ton of Bam Bargain books lately because I bet there's shit or they no longer interest me. So you know what? We got a 4 star. It's a win. But yeah, that is the update. This is my second to last book. It was good. Similar in ways to other books. Truly Devious, the way that it was similar to Truly Devious, I don't think I even said, is because like when you find out what happened, it's not like super believable. And like you're kind of confused, but like not in a good way. Like you know how sometimes when you get a revealing, you're like, oh, I never saw that coming. This is like, oh, I never saw that coming because it makes no sense. And my theories were actually better about the actual book. Like what I thought happened, I guess would have been better than what actually happened. And I just feel, I don't want to say disappointed. I just feel like, I'm like, okay, it's over. Like I could have just Googled that, honestly. But yeah, that's all I can say. Because I don't want to go too deep into the author. Like they are a good author. They are good books. Just maybe not for me anymore. Hi, so it's actually the very next day. I've enough the very last book. And I could start something new, but I'm gonna choose not to. So I'm actually just gonna go into the stats of the month. It was a weird month. It was a busy month. It was kind of a mentally exhausting month where I finally realized that I'm burnt out and I need help. And I need to take things slow. And on the vein of taking things slow, I'm not going to start another book because I'd only have 2 days to finish it. And I don't really have any short books on standby that I don't already have planned to read in April. And now the books that I have in April, I want to read in April. Like I don't want to start any of them early. So I'm actually just going to take the next 2 days off to not read and just chill. I hope that's okay. If it's not okay, well, it's too late because by the time you see this video, it's going to be several days past what I'm already talking about. So since I didn't finish another book, I'm just going to go over my monthly stats and pick out my favorite book of the month. I was supposed to read 12 books in total. I only read 10 because I DNF'd 2 of them. Um, I read a total of 3,450 pages, and my average rating was a 4.39. I'm gonna go through every book that I read and what rating I gave it before we get into picking out my favorite book. I read Ben for Baylor, which I gave a 5-star. I read Broken Bonds, which I gave a 4.5. I read If Not For My Baby, which I gave a 5-star. Oaths of Legacy, which I gave a 4.5. Vows of Empire, which I gave a 5. Migrations, which I gave a 4.5. Wizard of Most Wicked Ways, which I gave a 3. A Whip Through Time, which I gave a 3. And The Gods of the Woods, which I gave a 5. And then Where Sleeping Girls Lie, I am probably going to give a 4. And then I DNF'd The Color of Magic, which is the first book in the Discworld series. And then I DNF'd Girl Abroad. I don't have a reason. I just didn't find it interesting. Like, I was listening to the audiobook while I was doing some cleaning, and I was like, this literally, like, is my brain's not retaining any of this. There's literally none of this is marked as important. My brain is literally just listening and putting it right back out the other ear. And I was like, life's too short, you know? Like, I already kind of had my hesitations, so I actually took it off. And if you look back there, that shelf's starting to look really empty because I essentially removed every single Bam Bargain book that I have. And the books back there are books that I, like, got other places that I still want to read. I don't know if you guys are curious to know what those are. Like, should I do an updated physical TBR? Because those are the only ones I have left. The books that are on that shelf right here are the only physical books that I have left to read, except for People We Meet on Vacation. That's oddly there for some reason, even though I've already read it. Maybe at the end of this video we'll do an updated TBR, maybe. So it was a girl who was literally going abroad and she's gonna fall in love with a British guy. Nothing special about it. I literally don't even remember who the main character's name was. And I literally was just listening to it like not even an hour ago. That's how literally unentertained my brain was listening to this book. So it's been like a very interesting month. I got multiple 5-stars. But like I don't really feel like I would classify the 5-stars as my favorite book of the month. I feel like I have to give it to Broken Bonds, even though it wasn't a 5-star. I think it was the one that surprised me the most, and probably the one I like enjoyed the most, which I know makes no sense because if I enjoyed it that much, why didn't I give it 5 stars? I don't know. I just feel like out of all of these books, those are the ones that like I talked about the most, and the ones I was like more adamant about, and one I was more able to speak on was the Broken Bonds. I think you could tell when I was talking about how much I enjoyed it. Either that or it's the Irish cowboy romance, which I did give 5 stars. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe that's the better choice because I did give it 5 stars and I did really like it. It made me emotional. Yeah, I'll do If Not For My Baby. I'll do it. It was a weird month. Like, none of these books were absolutely amazing, personally. Like, none of these books, like, blew me out of the water, necessarily. Hopefully, April is better of a month for reading. I have played so much Fortnite, which is fine. I'm allowed to have multiple hobbies. Your girl is just working on burnout. I'm working on it slowly. I'm doing better the last couple of days. I took some rest and stuff like that. And since this book was DNF, I don't want to jump into a next book because then I feel like I'm just slapping a band-aid on the wound. So we're stopping here. So that's my stats. I gave 1, 2, 3, 4. I gave 4 5 stars. I finished 10 books in total. That means I almost got 50% of my reads as 5 stars. And my favorite book of the month is going to be If Not For My Baby. And since this is like a really short clip, let me just give you the updated TBR, even though this has nothing to do with the video. This stack of books are the only books left on my physical TBR. I just realized there's a couple back there that I had already read. I guess I just don't have room for them anywhere else, so I've just been putting them on that shelf. This is what's left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're below 10 books. I feel like it's been so long since I've been below 10 books left to read. Oh my god, I'm kind of proud. So some of these I just got, and I think I showed in another video maybe, but I'll put them in this one as well. I got Drizzle and Dreams and Love Struck Things at the mall the other day. Whilst at the mall, I got Painted Devils. These were already on my TBR. That's why I got them from the Bam Bargain section, because I was just saying how I don't want to buy any more off of that list. Well, it's because they were already on my TBR and I already had them on my radar to read anyways, and now I can just read them physically instead of digitally. And then we have Red Queen and Glass Sword, which is the first 2 books in the series. I don't own the others, and I'm not too sure if I'll buy the other ones. I've heard some interesting things about this author. Not that she's a bad person, just like some interesting takes that she has. And then from the library, I still have Deep End by Allie Hazelwood, which I need to read this soonish, because it's due in May. And then I recently got In Her League by Liz Tamaford, because this is the like conclusion to the Mile High series, which I fucking loved. Love, love, love. This recently just came out. I don't know when I'll read these, but I want to read these so soon. And then we have this really absolutely stunning book called The Sun and the Star Maker, which is a spread. Really beautiful. Maybe I'll do see if any of these are gay so that I can add them to Moving with Pride, because my April TBR is already picked. I have the first 2 books in a trilogy, which is Endless Anger is book 1, and then book 2 is Jealous Rage. This is apparently a second generation romance story where their parents had their own story. Well, I didn't know that when I bought this, and I'm not going to go backwards, because if I go backwards, I won't read these, because then I'll be creeped out by the fact that they used to be kids. So that means I have to read these first, and then like maybe I can go back and read about their parents after I had already read about them. Because if I go back to them being children in the first series, I can't pick them up, because then I'm grossed out, that I'm icked. Even though they're grown-ups now, I have to do it this way. I have to do the grown-ups that were kids but are grown-ups now first, and then I can go back to the daddy-os that are now grandpas, I guess. Who fucking knows what the ages are? So that's it. That's 9 books. I should go shopping. I will be going shopping for my birthday, but like not getting 27 books like I did last time. Like maybe 1 or 2, maybe 5 at most. But yeah, that is the video. I hope that you enjoyed watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment. You can let me know what you read this month. You can let me know if you've read anything that I've read. You can let me know if you had any DNFs. You can let me know if March was a weird month for anyone else, because oh my god, was it a weird month. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. I like to bring up the fact that I do in fact have a lactose tolerant cow shirt on. I love silly fucking cow shirts. Let's be honest here. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, and toodaloo.